Hello, all, and welcome to yet another edition of hrtech's Tech Talks. We've been meeting up with the founders and CEOs of HR technology product providers over the past few years. And in that series, I'm really excited to have Girish Rowjee, co founder and CEO of greytHR Software, as part of our guest in today's session. Girish needs no introduction in the HR technology sector. He's been a force to reckon with over the last 3 decades, I should say, and greytHR has a strong fan following, I should say, amongst the clients in India and across the globe. Thank you, Girish, really for coming over to our session.
Okay, absolutely. My pleasure, Sriram. It's a great pleasure to be on the show. Look forward to talking to you and also sharing with your listeners.
Thank you, Girish. Girish, let's start off with this. I'm sure in your 3 decade journey, you've seen multiple challenges that your clients. Girish, let's start off with this. I'm sure in your 3 decade journey, you've seen multiple challenges that your clients have been facing. At this point of time, what are the top business and talent challenges that your clients are facing?
Okay, I think that's a very relevant question, something that's been taken the attention of a lot of HR folks. So, we recently ran a survey across a fairly large number of HR professionals. About 400 to 450 of them responded. So what we are learning now, right, is employee engagement, okay, and retaining top talent. I mean, retaining the people, because people have become such a critical resource, right, in terms of getting the organizations forward, especially in many of the emerging sectors. People have a disproportionate say in terms of the value that they can generate and the success of the organization. So what we have seen is employee engagement and retaining the talent has, on almost equal measures, has been one of the top challenges that HR is facing. The second one is in terms of HR being able to respond to newer technologies, right, and rapid changes that are happening in the workforce around the tech changes that are happening. Now, what's happening is there are so many new things coming up. Ways of working is changing. Models of working are changing. AI has been having a very disproportionate disruption in the workforce. So as things are evolving rapidly, HR is also now really concerned in terms of how do they upskill their employees? How do they make them and get them to continue to be relevant in the newer age with the newer technologies and others are coming in. This is another area where we have found that the concerns are very high. Finally, okay, of course, this is an oft-repeated topic, but compliance continues to be a large area because the laws continue to keep changing. It could either be on the payroll side or on the labor law side. Now with the gig economy, with the the kind of contract workers kind of a model coming in, also on business owners have also become a micro business owners, right? A lot of businesses are small in nature, which means that HR, the business owners who are de facto HR managers also, they also want to be sure, okay, that they can be compliant with the laws of the land. So this, I think, is a snapshot of what we have observed and what we have heard from a huge number of people who have responded to our survey.
In fact, Girish, when you talk about compliance and payroll, whenever I've talked to a lot of clients, when greytHR has been essentially known for coming up with a product that is compliant and always relevant to the laws that are prevalent. So I think that's something which your product has always stood for.
Thank
But
you.
in this current context where we are now talking about not just compliance anymore, Girish, we are talking about new ways of working, hybrid, 5 days a week, five generations in the workforce, and sixth generation going to enter the workforce. So, too many things, right? So, in this journey, where do you stand right now? How is great HR trying to solve the problems that your clients are facing? So, what is your product's USP and differentiators at this point of time?
Right, right. Great. So, Sriram, see, the point is we are attacking one large part of a typical HR manager's challenge, right? Which is in the areas of people operations, which is in the area of talent management, right? And in the area of payroll and compliance management. So this is a area where we have a large focus. Now, one of the things we are doing is what we attempt to do is to ensure that a typical HR manager can provide employee services, right? At the end of the day, employees are customers for the HR manager. And what they need to do is to be able to ensure that all the things that they need to be providing for the employee, which can broadly said employee services, are done to on time, are done in a relevant way, and done very efficiently, because cost is also a concern. So where great HR comes in today is to enable the HR manager to make sure that employee databases are done properly, your leave attendance is tracked, your recruitment processes are automated so that you can get in the right kind of people inside the organization. Engagement happens. We have a huge number of engagement tools that are there. It could be anything from a simple chat kind of a module to more complex modules in terms of it could be rewards and recognition, it could be kudos, it could be recognizing people at the time when things happen. They're also in engagement, we have done a fairly good amount of work in terms of, see, today with a hybrid and a workforce that is dispersed, a lot of uh, engagement that would otherwise have happened in the organization. It does not happen. Communication, see, grapevine is a large amount of, is a big factor in getting communication organized. But today, with people sitting outside, not coming at the same time, you will need to provide more ways in which informally and formally people talk to each other. They are able to get information what's happening in the organization. So now, if you look at the way great HR has evolved, as you rightly said in the first part, a large work that we do is hygiene in nature, because payroll and compliances are absolutely critical, right? No organization can live without them, and that problem we have really solved very well. A large number of our clients use that module. Now that that has come in, right, we have started now taking this out to more areas. So as I said, engagement, recruitment, for example, we all know about recruitment technology. I also saw your interviews with Archely, CEO. There's a lot of good insights there. Recruitment is another challenge. So we have been doing a lot of work in that area, trying to get AI to come in. It could be either in interview scheduling, it could be in job descriptions, it could be in using AI to shortlist resumes, even some of things like video interviews within the app. So multiple areas. So as you know, HR is a very broad kind of a thing. Even though there is one word HR, it consists of multiple sub functions. So one of the things, as I said, at the core is to say, can the HR manager make sure that all employee services are done efficiently and effectively? This is the core. Now, with this as the core, right, we have started working on more modules.
Fantastic.
Finally, I would like to leave you with one thing. See, when we started operations, okay, the point we wanted to do was to say, I want to make HR tech affordable, right? I want to make sure that a large number of organizations in this country, right, can leverage technology to retain their talent, to provide good employee services, to make sure they are productive, and ultimately help them get business benefits. So what we have consistently done is to make sure that we also make the technology, even though it's at the uh, higher end of the spectrum, a lot of this technology is also very affordable, and we can onboard people quickly. So now these are some of the areas where we have done work in terms of trying to make our product different, in trying to make sure that the depth at which the product needs to be able to help the HR manager manage his operations well. That also, see, our legacy of about 30 years has really helped us because we have a very, very deep understanding of how HR operates, what are their needs. A lot of that learning is now incorporated into the software. That is where we are able to, we believe, add significant amount of value to HR.
Perfect. I mean, you've been talking about the affordability aspect and more so with competition in the HRMS space right now. I think in the HR tech space, HRMS is the most competitive of all segments, right? But still, then, when prices are affordable, when technologies like generative AI have come in a big way, we still see there is a lot of hesitation amongst organizations and HR teams to adopt technology in a big way. Why do you think companies are still hesitating to adopt HR technology? And how are you actually working with the HR teams on this?
Look, still the cost as an angle is still an element that is in the mind of people. Because when the movement happened from on-premise to SaaS,
Right.
right? People kind of started paying a monthly subscription fee. The other perception that it's going to be expensive, okay, is still lingering, and that's a fairly large. See, if you're a very small company, it will not really matter, right? Once you gain a certain size and above, the cost element also increases, right? But that portion is still lingering in the minds of people. But any good organization will be able to demonstrate that the kind of money that's being paid towards HR technology, when compared to the value that the organization would derive from bringing in a process, from bringing in that particular element and that particular software or technology, the costs are quite affordable and low, and they pay for themselves in a couple of months. That's the thing. So cost as a perception that it may be expensive is something that is still in the minds of people. Now, in a slightly more mature organization, right, where there are still large number of employees are already there, um, people, the HR and the management's perception of change, how change will be, how they'll be able to affect change within the organization and the change management process, right, is also something that is on the minds of people when they think about technology adoption, right? Because see, with HR technology, what happens is you just don't automate something that's already there. A good HR product will also enable you to do things differently, right? And they will make sure that the way we work and the kind of work we do is different. That is also a large place where the benefits come in. If you
Right.
are just taking a paper form and getting it to move to 5 people, right? And if you once you take that thing and now move it online, that's not really a large amount of why HR technology should be adopted. So you also need to bring in, okay, change in the way people operate within the organization. Now, change management in newer age companies where people are a little more attuned to change because they have been working with technology for a long time. In organizations like that, this is a simpler thing to do. But in many traditional organizations, see, India, as you know, ITS sector or the high-end services sector is still a smaller portion of the market. You still have a large number of people who are in the traditional industries, and they also need to automate because they also contribute significantly to the economy. So change management is again something that people are worried about. So in the interest of time, a couple of things I'll do quickly. People also believe that there could be a problem with complexities in implementing. If you don't have, or if you have not been consistently implementing newer software or upgrading or enhancing, the perception that will the new technology be better than that? Will we be able to make the change? Will the change happen and will it be for the better? That is also a area where people would kind of be apprehensive. So what we do is, as I said, we from a cost perspective, we are one of the most affordable in the country. We have been able to uh, drive costs down so that we can make it affordable. So we are trying to solve it like that. Change management, what we do is we talk to multiple stakeholders. We have a model in which we are doing it. We make sure that there's a phased rollout. Multiple things we do. We also have a very clean and very well established implementation model. I can talk about that too. Then we also make sure that we help customers in implementing the software. So now a combination of all of this is what we believe is helping us to take the technology to the end user. And still we, even if the concerns are there, we still would be able to address them.
Perfect. When you're talking about implementation, right, Girish, that's a key issue, right? I mean, a lot of great products have problems in implementation and in adoption. Now, I wanted to understand, are there some best practices that you would like to share that your clients have used essentially for better implementation and adoption?
Sure, sure. Yeah, Shriram, and as we discussed, just previously, um, people's confidence that I can bring in something new within my organization and do it cleanly with the minimal amount of thing is a large concern. So just to share some number, and I'll tell you why. We have some very, very well established implementation processes. See, on an average, we onboard about 300 new clients every month on our small business platform. On the larger business, we bring in about 25 to 30 large businesses onto a HR tech platform. Reason I'm telling this fact is that to say uh, what we have done over a period of time is to continue to fine tune this model of getting the product implemented so that we are able to get value organized for the end customer quickly, right, and effectively. So a few key things that we do, and even for the listeners, I would like to suggest. One is to have a very clear objective in terms of why you want to implement the software. Look, as I said, HR is the surface area of HR tech is very large. You have recruitment, you have employee onboarding, you have payroll, leave, attendance, engagement, learning and development, exit processes. Okay, you have employee self-service, managers can come in. So you have a large swath of things that you can do. Now, one of the things that people who are implementing the software need to be clear is what they would like to do, right? There is what we would also recommend is if people feel that this is too much, right? It's like a buffet. There's large number of things to do. We can even chunk it in phases.
Good.
But at any point of time, having a clear objective as to why you started it is something that's very critical. Because every time you have a conflict, you can go back to the North Star, right? Which is the why you started it, and you can prioritize. Of course, we will want to implement the best, but as you traverse the journey, and product implementations are mostly journeys, right? Seldom are they destinations. Right? So as you traverse the journey, you need to be cognizant that there is time and there is the value that you'll get towards the time, and there is the fullness of the whole thing. So you have to prioritize. Once you have the objectives, that's one portion that is there. The second, which is becoming extremely important, of course, this is a software industry challenge we always encounter, is on how customized can you make the software.
Right.
Right. So what happens is in the on-premise age, still there could have been a model where you could customize the software. That version would be put up at your desk or your server or your organization, and still organizations would be able to manage. But in a SaaS world, which is where HR has completely moved to, right? As you know, there are no on-premise vendors of note as far as the market is concerned. Getting a lot of customizations done, okay, is very, very inimical to the whole setup. The
Exactly.
reason is, by the time you get a SaaS software customized to entirely meet your requirement, right, you lose a lot of time, and vendors also tend to slow down significantly.
Right.
So the second thing you need to be very clear is on how much of a customization would you need. Now, this will be solved if you have clear objectives. So it is okay to spend a little more time in evaluating. So what we do also for slightly larger customers is we invariably offer a POC, a proof of concept. So what we do is some of the most critical items that they have, okay, we quickly implement in a smaller way and demonstrate to them so that they're aware of what they're getting into. So this is also a way in which we mitigate. The third portion that people really need to worry about is data readiness.
Correct.
How ready are they from a data angle? So now some organizations, if they, we go into an implementation, if the organization says, hey, look, I don't have the data. All data is in files. I have only one minimal Excel file. Then you can rest assured that it's a large time project, because you'll have to first take the data from the paper, move it into a file that can be imported into some SaaS software, right? And then move it. Or if the data is dispersed across multiple entities, units, you again have a challenge. So the third portion you need to be really thinking through when you start implementation is about data readiness. The final thing I would always, love to tell people that I work with is that there has to be a few internal champions for the software, in addition to a management buy-in. Any change is going to take time, is going to be a little bit of difficulty, is going to be faced, right? So it is essential that the commitment to wanting to do something new, something better is there. There is going to be a little bit of a change management pain that is going to come through, but with commitment and the internal champion being done, I believe that there is a very good possibility and implementations will be successful.
Fantastic. Great points indeed, Girish. Great points. The final question that I have is, there are multiple companies that are right now which are looking to start their digital HR journey. They have not yet begun. For those companies and those HR teams, what would your advice be? Because I've had a lot of clients saying, hey, technology is fast changing, so I'm doing a wait and watch approach, right? And this is never going to stop. So what would be your advice to all these companies?
See, the wait and watch is like timing the stock market, right? So I don't think anybody has been able to do that. But more seriously, what I believe, and to a certain extent, this ties in with the success for implementation also, is that you need to have a fairly good idea and a vision in terms of what you want technology to do, right? That is the key. So organizations are at various phases. Organizations are at various phases in their journey. Okay, a few organizations are absolutely starting up. Then they may just want a payroll and some basic compliances done. But if somebody has already solved that problem, they may want to efficientize operations. Somebody may want to do engagement. You need to be very clear as to what your objectives are. This is part one. Part two, you also need to ensure that within the organization, there is enough bandwidth that you can allocate. Okay, because as you implement anything new, you will need people, right? You will need to spend time. It can't be a part job, right? You can't say, if I have the time today, I'll work on this implementation. That is again something that is not going to help you or help the organization in their journey, in their automation journey. That is the next portion. The third thing that I would urge people is to spend time also in evaluating, because finding a fit between what is available in the market and what is my need, and the earlier you find that fit, right, and the more tightly that fit is found or nearest fit is found, it will be in your best interest. Because in this world, customizations, especially in cloud, are very, very time consuming, very expensive. So it may not, if people believe that they have a need that is not readily available, then they would be better off to go into a custom software development. They should not get into a product implementation. Finally, because employees are going to be a large portion of the change, one of the things that we advocate to all our clients is to see whether we can roll this out to employees quicker. Okay, maybe even in phases, because as people get accustomed to something good and new, right, and as the positive vibes start getting generated and start spreading, a lot of people, a lot of resistance to change will also come down. So that is also something that people can consider.
So, Girish, summarizing your over 3 decades of experience into a 15-minute session is going to be really difficult. But I think we had a great discussion. To summarize some of the things that we discussed, we started off talking about the business challenges that your clients are facing right now, which is three-pronged. One is definitely on employee engagement and retention. It's actually a labor market paradox they are seeing. On one side, there are layoffs that are happening, there is supply in the market, but when people are looking at hiring folks, they are not getting the relevant skilled folks. So there is a huge gap that we are seeing. The second, you talked about how HR needs to respond to changes in the marketplace, in the workplace, in terms of the ways of working, the models of working are all fast changing, and HR really needs to change. And obviously, the foundation pillar is definitely on compliance, which is a key pillar for HR. And having closely tracked greytHR, I've really seen how from being being really focused on compliance and payroll, today you have grown to add the people operations bit, the talent management aspect, and to become a more end-to-end suite. And you are essentially providing all forms of formal and informal ways of communicating to the employees, right from pre-hiring to exit. I think you now have it all covered. And definitely, I know greytHR has really been focused on bringing affordability into the entire game, because HR tech is the last bit of tech that a company always wants to implement. The first is always on sales and customer, and the last is always on HR tech. By making it really affordable, I think you've really made a huge difference in the marketplace. And what you really highlighted, which is the right thing, right? You don't just implement a HR tech product just to automate something. You have to bring in process improvement. I think that's where you and your team are really making a lot of strides to bring in that process improvement and not just automating a manual task. And I think the results are being shown when you're really talking about onboarding 300 new small and medium clients in a month and over 20 large clients in a month. That those are terrific numbers at this point of time when there's so much of competition in the marketplace, Girish. So that's a clear proof of how you've been able to stand tall in the market. And one key aspect which you really highlighted was, don't start with the solution, start with the problem that you're trying to solve. I've had a lot of clients come to me and say, hey, what is your feedback on this product? I think the focus should be more on what is the business problem that you're trying to solve rather than the solution that you're trying to starting with the product, right? I think one of the aspects that you did highlight to them was, customization in the SaaS era is going to be really, really difficult. Then it's best to go into a custom software development. It's more about configuration, ensuring you have you identify a software that best fits your requirement. That is going to be really critical. I think the aspect on change management that you highlighted and data readiness is very, very critical. I've seen a lot of companies quickly jump into implementation without even focusing on the data quality aspect, the data integrity, the data readiness, but quickly getting on to this and then struggling. Change management is an area where they've got the best product but struggle because what they have realized is they don't have change management champions. So we are actually helping our clients use organizational network analysis to identify change management champions who could play a critical role in the implementation phase. As you rightly said, it's a journey. I've had a lot of clients who say, hooray, we have gone live and uncorking the champagne bottles, right? I would always say going live is the start of the journey, right?
Yes.
Adoption and making changes to the implementation based on feedback is part of the ongoing journey. So I think, and the most important aspect is resistance to adoption, right? We are having 5 generations in the workforce, and which means everyone is at a different level of adoption rate. I think HR has to play a key role in ensuring that all of them are brought together and you need to move in sync. So Girish, that was really a lovely discussion. I'm trying to make justice out of that 15 minutes. But once again, Girish, you've been a doyen in the HR tech space, a force to reckon with. You've built a great brand over the last 3 decades and standing tall in the market. It's a real pleasure hosting you, Girish. Thank you very much for being on our show.
Thank you, Sriram, and it's been a pleasure talking to you and a privilege to be on the show.
Thank you. We hope to host you soon in our future episodes.
All right. Thank you very much.